And as we continue to dissect the End Bad Governance protests and the fallout, I have a public affairs analyst, Abdullahi, Awwal, joining me. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we'll start this way. ECOWAS has urged Nigerian protesters to end the demonstrations and engage in dialogue, a move some people view as akin to the Nigerian president writing to himself. Do you think this is an appropriate stance for such a Pan-African body, given the grievances of the Nigerian people?
Well, you see, it all depends on one's understanding and definition of what is right or wrong. But the issue is Nigeria first before any other thing. And there can't be Nigeria without the citizens of Nigeria. And Nigeria is a member of the ECOWAS community. Not only that, Nigeria's president is the chairman of the ECOWAS community as well. So there's nothing wrong in ECOWAS calling for Nigerians to end the protests and engage the government and the president in dialogue. I think that is not out of place. It is in order. You will recall that in the president's address, he equally called for dialogue. He called for the end of the protest and dialogue between him and Nigerians, most especially the leadership of the protesters, so to say. So I think it is in order if ECOWAS call for end of the protest and then call for dialogue. But at the same time, also ECOWAS should also have said something to the government as well. Even though the chairman of the ECOWAS is the president of Nigeria, but equally, just as they are speaking to the Nigerian protesters, then ECOWAS equally would have, be talking to Nigerian government as well, so that there can be balancing. The issue here is, what do we do to solve this problem? How do we go about ending this protest? What will the government need to do, to appease Nigerians so that Nigerians will embrace peace and embrace the dialogue and also accept maybe short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan on how to end the hunger and then all other vices that Nigerians are crying for.
Before we begin to profile a solution, Mr. Awwal, the violent turn of protests in the northern part of the country is alarming. What factors would you say or believe contributed to that violence, and what diplomatic measures would you recommend to actually address and resolve the unrest?
Well, first and foremost, what brought about the violence is hunger, majorly insecurity. That insecurity led to our people not going to farms, our people not going to the market. And northern Nigeria is known with two basic things, markets and farming. These are the two major things that northerners are known with. And today it is difficult for northerners to go to farm. It is equally difficult for northerners to go to most of their markets to do their normal businesses. So, and it is all yet to insecurity. So that is the major thing. There is hunger in the north. There is abject poverty in the north. There is insecurity in the north. Our children don't go to school. Our women don't go to farms. To hospitals out of fear and things like that.
But then would you blame it, Abdullahi, would you blame that on the government at the center or the political figures that represent that particular region?
Honestly, it would be unfair to just blame it on the central government. It will be unfair. I think every politician that is involved, a northern politician, has a share of the blame as far as these issues are concerned. We have to say it the way it is. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be straightforward in saying it. We have to look at our eyes, deep inside our eyes, and tell ourselves the truth. Reality is all the politicians that in the north are involved in this problem. If only we have embraced ourselves, we have agreed with ourselves, the politicians have come together to talk sincerely and honestly, not just paying lip service to the whole thing, but talking sincerely, talking honestly, looking at the problems and then working together as a team, sincerely and patriotically working together as a team towards eliminating and alleviating the problems. I want to believe that it has been reduced by at least 50%. Now we have our appointed politicians, the ministers, you have the commissioners at the state level, you have a head of department and agencies, you have members of the Senate, you have the members of House of Representatives, you have the members of the state assembly, the local government chairman and councillors, all this put together. If all this come together with stakeholders, discuss this problem, and everybody gave contribution, sincere contribution, with the willingness, with the political will to end hunger, insecurity, poverty, and what have you, assisting the government at the center. Believe me, it would have come to an end. I will give you an example before you ask the next question. The federal government gave 20 trucks of rice to all state government. The president in his broadcast said he has contributed, or he has given 570 billion to our state governors. But it will interest you to know most of this rice, you'll find them in the market being rebagged and then being sold to the citizens, instead of this rice going down to the people that it is meant for. Now, if you look at it critically, you see that to a certain level, the federal government have done the needful. First, by giving out a lot of money to the state governors so that they can work. Second, by giving out palliatives in the name of rice. But I want to make a distinction. It is not all the governors that didn't do the right thing. There are governors in the north who immediately this thing come to them, they call the people, make set up committees, and begin the distribution. There are governors in the north who has brought up...
Yeah, I understand your standpoint. Let's just quickly look at the issue around reports of protesters also waving Russian flags, the announcement of foreign mercenaries planning to incite violence, and the calls for a coup said to be raising concerns as of now. How would you interpret these developments and the fact that the CDS said if the police cannot deal with this, they would step in?
Well, naturally, issue of internal security is a responsibility of the police and other security bodies, the police, the DSS, maybe the civil defense. Naturally, the responsibility of the armed forces is the protection of territorial integrity of Nigeria against external aggression. But where the situation where the police cannot contain the armed forces to step in. This is a natural thing. You don't expect things to just go like that. So, and the armed forces cannot fold its arms and watch the country degenerate, most especially into carrying flags of a foreign nation. You know, like the Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa rightly said, it is a treasonable felony for somebody to carry the flag of another country within a country. You cannot have two different flags of a country in one country.
How would you expect the army to engage or to intervene in this particular situation without having to infringe on people's rights, the need to actually minimize casualties and be able to deal with such threats?
I think what the military need to do is not just coming in with force, using force to begin firing and things like that. I think what the military should do is use the intelligence. We have the military intelligence. All the tri-service of the armed forces and the defense has intelligence. You have the Army intelligence, naval intelligence, Air Force intelligence, and the Defense Intelligence Agency. I think this tripartite or the quadruplet intelligence bodies can work together as a team to identify people that are instigating the carriage of that Russian flag, or people that are the sponsors of the manufacturing of the Russian flags. Just like just recently, there was an arrest of somebody who is one of the tellers that are sewing the Russian flags. And even our independent investigation discovered that a lot of them were also sewing these flags and selling them. It has become a business because youth are buying. So most of them just run to the market, go and buy the materials, and then come and sew the flags and begin to sell. They are making money out of it. But even at that, you cannot rule out the possibility of somebody who started it, who initiated it, what is the motive behind the initiation of the usage of that flag, what are they driving at, what is their intention, who are the collaborators or who are the initiators. Things like that can be discovered, can be investigated and discovered by the quadruplet intelligence agencies.
Okay,
Not only that,
Abdullahi.
you have the police and the DSS that can assist the armed forces in intelligence, because if you go using force, that is my fear, it might be lethal, and that might not be too good for the country in a
Okay,
democratic
Abdullahi.
situation.
Abdullahi, before I let you go, now let's just look at the presence of hoodlums said to be harassing journalists and protesters. This said to suggest some sort of potential bias on the part of the Nigerian police, because we have video evidence of this also. These police actually promised to protect all the participants during the demonstrations, but what eventually played out is stark departure. Do you agree with this assessment, and why?
Well, the reality is, even though the line cracked while you are trying to mention it, but at the end of the day, it is all talking about whether the Nigerian police, as said earlier by the IG, that peaceful protesters will be properly engaged, that is to say, will be guided, and then they will be protected. And eventually, something different is happening now. I guess both the two parties are involved, and both the two parties will be faulted for this, while the security agencies, most especially the Nigerian police, will be faulted for opening fire on innocent or on Nigerians. And also, you can as well look at the part of the protesters who are also using stones against the Nigerian police. But even at that, I think the usage of the tear gas was the first thing that triggered the protesters to begin attacking back the Nigerian police. And then the Nigerian police naturally will use tear gas when they are being overpowered. And if you look at the number of the police on ground and the number of protesters that are lined up coming towards whatever it is, either for the destruction of properties or trying to get entrance into various government houses, you will see that it is a clash of the titans. At the end of the day, the police had to use whatever power available before them. But then there is an issue, because so far so good. I'm sure there are some policemen that were injured, but there was no single policeman that was killed by the protesters, so to say.
So yes, so that is why
question.
there's a need for the security personnel to tread with caution and work with restraint when dealing or interpreting directives handed out to them. Abdullahi, Awwal, thank you so much for your robust contribution on the news. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.